The Yankees desperately needed a bounce-back effort on Saturday, and they got it in the form of an 8-4 victory over the San Francisco Giants in another rainy, poor weather game in the Bronx. And boy, it feels like the Yankees haven't really gotten to play a decent weather game this year. But they got off to a good start. Were forced to come back after they gave up an early lead, but overall was a solid game across the board. Will Warren, the rookie, had a really, really strong outing, I thought. Gets his first victory of the year. And aside from kind of hanging a sinker in the second inning to the red-hot Wilmer Flores, pitched excellently in this game. 5 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, and those 2 earned runs that came on the 2-run homer from Wilmer Flores. And left the game with an opportunity for the Yankees to, it was 2-2 at the time he left the game, but by the time another pitcher came in, it was 7-2 New York. The Yankees got off to a quick start. Cody Bellinger finally got off the schneid in terms of extra base hits. He's had a little bit of an extra base hit-less streak with an RBI triple that scored Aaron Judge. The ball went off the glove of Helio Ramos in left field. Goldschmidt had a sacrifice fly. But it really was that 5th inning where things really broke open for the Yankees. It started with a Ben Rice single. What a shock. Another monster game from Ben Rice. We're going to absolutely talk more about him later in this podcast because I took a look at his Baseball Savant numbers, and I know I mentioned it a couple shows ago when we did the full evaluation of the roster, but he's been a special player for the Yankees this year. But I'll wait. I'll get into that. Let's finish up this recap here. Ben Rice singled, Judge singled, Bellinger singled, Goldschmidt doubled, and Chisholm walked. So that was how the first 5 batters of the inning went against Jordan Hicks, who otherwise had a pretty solid performance in that 2nd, 3rd, and 4th inning, but third time through the lineup just did not have it. Single, double, walk. Got replaced by Randy Rodriguez, sac fly, strikeout, and then a big 2-run single that Jason Dominguez is able just to push the ball away to the opposite field to score Chisholm and to score Bellinger to score Jazz and to score Goldschmidt in order for the Yankees to really push that lead to an insurmountable level. It was a big at-bat for the youngster. I was excited to see that. Some struggles there in the top of the 6th for Fernando Cruz. There was a single, then a throwing error, then a walk, and there was a lot that happened in there. And Wilmer Flores ends up driving in 2 runs, but Luke Weaver to the rescue comes in and ends up shutting things down. And eventually the Yankees ended up adding 1 more run on guess who? A Ben Rice home run that left the ballpark in a hurry. You blinked and it was out. And, that was one of those ones where you watch it off the bat and you're only worrying, if you listen to Michael K. call it, the only worry was whether or not it was going to be high enough. Because he hit that thing just as hard as he possibly could, 113.2 miles an hour off the bat. 113.2, and his bat speed, by the way, 78 miles an hour with the bat speed, which I believe was the highest of the game. I believe it was tied with Aaron Judge for a big single, and then there was a line out from Matt Chapman. But yeah, Ben Rice crushes that ball out in 27 of the 30 ballparks. But Ben Rice in this game had 2 of the 5 and 3 of the 7 hardest hit balls in this game. He had that 113 one we talked about. He also had 105 mile an hour line out, and then that single. He also had 103 mile an hour. He is just absolutely crushing the baseball right now. He has been unbelievable so far. But Weaver comes in, shuts things down, gets his 4 outs. Mark Leiter comes in. And then we saw Devin Williams into the 9th inning with a 4-run lead. And obviously at that point, everybody's thinking, all right, it's been a little bit rough. And it started out a little bit rough again. He walks Yastrzemski, Adames doubles. And now all of a sudden, it's 2nd and 3rd. And no outs, and all you're just starting to think like, oh my goodness, like what are we really going to do this again? And again, at that point, you've already used your high leverage guys in Weaver and Leiter as well, so you would have been in a little bit of a bind if you were to take him out of the game for somebody else. But then he gets Jung-Ho Lee to strike out, Matt Chapman to strike out, and then he gets a ground ball to Jazz Chisholm from Helio Ramos to end the game. So obviously he doesn't get a save. It was a 4-run game, but finds his way out of the inning. And, if you look at the bullpen again, 4 innings, 2 unearned runs in this game. They allowed 6 total base runners in those 4 innings. Solid. Things got a little weird at times with Fernando Cruz and with Devin Williams, but overall they did enough to get the job done. But the Yankees really performed strong in this game, and it was really good to see this sort of a bounce-back effort from a lot of different people. I think a lot of guys have been struggling lately, I would say, outside of Jazz. Jazz ends up scoring a run off after drawing a walk, but he's 0 for 3 with another strikeout. He's really got to get things rolling here. He's now down to 164 and a sub 250 on base. So he's really got to get rolling here. The whole bottom of the lineup does. But the the 3 guys that have been consistently strong for you all season long, Ben Rice, Aaron Judge, Paul Goldschmidt, were strong again in this game. Goldschmidt both offensively and defensively. And look, the Yankees got the much needed win. That's what they needed. Now they are 8-6, and there's really no other way to put it. They got the win they needed to. It's a little early to look at the standings, but if you do want to look at the standings right now, they're lucky that everybody in the East is hanging around that 500 mark or just below 500. So everybody's kind of had their inconsistencies while the Yankees have had theirs. So if the Yankees can get hot, they'll be in good shape. But again, we need to see more of these performances in a row. This was a good start. This was a good effort, but they need to do it again. And they also need to do it. Will it help if they do? They have a day game after night game tomorrow, and then there's a pitching mismatch that's got to be a little concerning. We talked about that with the Tariq Skubal game against the Tigers. I have a similar feeling about it in this game against the Giants. You have Logan Webb of San Francisco going up against Carlos Rodon. Logan Webb's probably, if he's not the most, he is one of the most underrated elite pitchers in Major League Baseball. And Carlos Rodon's struggles have been well documented. And I've documented them quite well on this podcast. I think I've had 2 episodes dedicated to saying they need more from Carlos Rodon. I will say it again here. They need more from Carlos Rodon. This is a 1:35 p.m. afternoon start time for the Yankees. The Yankees will remain at home for that next series. They're playing the Kansas City Royals. But still, this is an opportunity to win the series. This is an opportunity to have yourself feeling good. This is an opportunity to get back on track if you're Carlos Rodon and at least alleviate some of the pressure that this rotation is feeling and that Rodon is feeling right now. I'm not incredibly optimistic, if I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think Rodon has pitched very well all season, and I have a lot of concerns about Logan Webb's ability to allow runs. So I think the Yankees would need a gem from Rodon in order to win this game, and I don't necessarily want to bet on that, given what they've done recently. But we will see how that goes. But I want to go back and I want to talk about Ben Rice a little bit more, because he is not completely unexpected, but it's not unexpected that he's contributing. It's unexpected he's contributing to this level. 14 games into the season. And if you take a look at how hard he's hitting the ball, his average exit velocity right now is in the 100th percentile. His hard hit percentage is in the 100th percentile. His barrel percentage is in the 99th percentile. His slugging is in the 97th percentile. His expected WOBA is in the 97th percentile. His bat speed, 88th percentile. And by the way, with high level walk rate, low whiff, low strikeouts. I mean, you look at the peripherals of what he's doing right now. And yes, you can look at the raw stats. You can look at the 310 average. You can look at the 1121 OPS with a 690 slug and say, damn, that guy's hitting the ball well. But look at all the peripherals as well. Like, there is literally everything around him right now is showcasing a, dare I say, elite hitter. It's early in the season. I get that. We're talking about 50-ish plate appearances. I believe 51 plate appearances. So I don't want to overreact too much. But this is somebody that has completely revamped who he was as a player. And I've said that before, but when you start to see somebody have a breakout, one of the things that you really want to look for is what could be causing this breakout. What makes this breakout legit? Or is this a case of just being lucky? It doesn't look like he's lucky. He is having the success that all his peripheral stats indicate he should be having. And you say, well, why is that? Well, you find out he put on a lot of extra muscle this offseason. Worked on his swing this offseason. And also, by the way, dominated in spring training. And while, again, you have to take, spring training stats and things of that nature for what they are with a gigantic grain of salt, you also have to look at the periphery there. And he was doing the same thing. He was hitting the ball extremely hard and doing it very frequently. And even when the ball's not leaving the yard, he's hitting the ball really hard. He had two other 103 plus mile an hour hits, contact today. One of them went for a hit, one of them was an out. But he is hitting the ball hard constantly. He's hitting the ball hard against lefties. He's hitting the ball hard against righties. He's hitting the ball well at the top of the lineup. And he is seizing that leadoff spot against right-handed pitching. And honestly, I don't see a reason why he should be out of it. I think at this stage of the season, I think you're pretty confident with Aaron Boone putting in Ben Rice to lead off against righties and Paul Goldschmidt to lead off against lefties. And it seems to be working out for those guys. And again, we talked about this earlier in the show, but really the only three guys that have been consistently successful all season long through these 14 games is Ben Rice, Paul Goldschmidt, and Aaron Judge. There have been very high points for other guys on this roster. There's also been some low points for guys on this roster. But if you look at those three guys, they have been consistently productive in that lineup wherever they have been in that lineup against whatever type of pitching they've had to go up against pretty much every game, give or take. So that's really encouraging as well. And I'm excited to kind of see how he grows. Because I'm going to admit it, I was a little skeptical coming into this offseason about where Ben Rice was going to fit. Because while I saw some flashes last year, he was chasing some bad pitches. And when he made contact, it was hard contact, but he wasn't making a lot of contact. And so I was a little worried about that, worried about where they're going to play him defensively, where everything was going to fit. And then, you have the Giancarlo Stanton injury. And then you find out that he had completely transformed himself over the offseason, and he was getting monster results in spring training. And those monster results have carried over in these first couple weeks of the season. And I'm really excited to kind of see where this goes and if he can continue this level, because, you look at his stats and there's nothing that's going to sit there and say, oh, he's on pace for blah, blah, blah. I mean, yeah, he's on pace for 40 homers. I don't think he's going to hit 40 home runs, but if Ben Rice turns into a 30 home run hitter and let's say he can hit 250, 260, and draw walks at the rate he's been able to draw walks. Because he was drawing walks last year too. All of a sudden, you're looking at a really good everyday starter. He's only 26 years old. That's pretty exciting. So, another high point, another victory for the Yankees. They'll go for the series victory on Sunday afternoon in the Bronx. And let's hope we get a decent start from Carlos Rodon. Let's hope Rodon just keeps them in the game. It is a starting pitcher mismatch. Not really loving the chances for the Yankees on Sunday, but you never know what can happen. But Rodon just needs to show me something. Because with Marcus Stroman going on the IL, Clark Schmidt should be back in the rotation soon, probably at some point later this week. But no matter what happens, the Yankees are going to need stuff from Rodon. They're going to need Rodon to at least give them league average starter stuff. And he hasn't been able to do that so far. So fingers crossed, he'll be able to do that on Sunday in the Bronx. And if he does, we will talk about it. If he doesn't, we will surely talk about it here on the Bombers Beat Podcast.